Hey there, Cozy Babe, and welcome back to the Cozy Babes Club. My name is Chloe Taylor, and today we are doing the big sister, little sister, whatever you want to call it, segment of the podcast. I try to do these seasonally, and I guess this is our fall segment. And basically, over on Instagram, I ask y'all to ask me what you need advice on because it is my theory situation. I'm actually the youngest of 7 kids, but most of my siblings tell me that they actually look up to me because I am like the one person in my family that like stood up and was like, not like this. Like, I hate to say it because I feel like sometimes it can come across as like, it is a real thing, but I'm never trying to like be pretentious about it. I do feel like a cycle breaker in my family, and I think I'm like the first in a long generation of like bullcrap. So I like doing these episodes because I am not actually a big sister. I just give big sister energy. And so, yeah, we're going to do big sister advice, even though I am nobody's big sister. Allow me to be your big sister today because honestly, I think that when it comes to healing, we have to kind of become our own wise inner parents. And I think that now I'm in a position where if I had me as a big sister now, like looking back on my life, I'm like the big sister I never had. So let me be your big sister today as we go through these questions. I actually have not looked at these at all. So we might not even answer all of them because I have no idea what's in here. So we're just going to try to address them all, but we'll see. First and foremost, we have how to build your self-esteem and how to confidently be your authentic self around people. I am going to be so for real with you. I think the only reason that I am able to behave the way that I behave is because I left my hometown. I think that, and I understand that is such a privilege to be even able to do that because it is not a common experience in today's world. But for those of you that have the means and the ability, leave your hometown. Even if you end up moving back home eventually, leave your hometown, because what leaving my hometown did for me, I left at 18. I returned briefly for a 9-month period. But outside of that, in 2010, it was actually 2009, New Year's Eve of 2009, I left my hometown and left for college, actually. And that experience shaped me into the person that I am today because I got to learn myself outside of the confinement of religion, outside of the confinement of my parents, outside of the confinement of siblings and family relationships, that if you don't have a strong support foundation from the start, living in that environment will create, like, it will help to create, whether it's good or bad, a version of you. And if you are constantly surrounded by what you don't want your future to look like, it is, I'm not saying if your friend jumps off a bridge, you're going to jump off the bridge too. And I will say that when you are surrounded by people that don't bring this out in you, that don't support this in you, you will pick up on their mannerisms. You will pick up on the little things that they say. You will pick up on ideals or ideas rather from these people. And I am just a very big believer that when you surround yourself with the right people that help you grow, you will be a different version of yourself. And so what's so funny is I actually feel like a lot of my college years, I had friends for sure, but I actually spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time alone, hustling and grinding in my gaming career, and also studying and reading. Like, I have read probably an unhealthy amount of psychology and self-help books, and to my detriment, actually. I think I've read too many, and like it has broken me a little bit. But going through that, I learned so much about myself, and I had the freedom without having to be met constantly on a daily basis with familial challenge. So I actually think that that helped shape me into being more confident and more authentic. I also think that it came through practice because like also I have a career that's like not the norm, right? Like being a YouTuber, being somebody that makes content, I've had to like listen to myself evolve over time. And always be reaching for new information. So I also think that like my career kind of helped me. I'm just speaking from my own experience. These might not be things that would help you, though I would argue leaving your hometown will probably help. Like I said, even if it's only for a little bit of time, if you have that ability, do it, because it will really teach you who you are outside of those confinements. And I also feel like building self-esteem, this is something I'm very much still working through at this point in my life. I know that I come online and like some of y'all probably think I'm the most confident person. It depends on the situation and who I'm with, but I can also be somebody that is full of extremely low self-esteem. And it's something that I do think if you have the means and the ability, go to therapy. And I'm like, something that I also don't hear talked about enough, and I think we need to make it mainstream. Don't just look for a CBT therapist. A CBT therapist is somebody that does cognitive behavioral therapy, which is great. If you're somebody that lacks self-awareness, that person is going to be so awesome for you, most likely. If you're somebody that already like does self-help, studies self-awareness, knows that you're relatively self-aware, having a CBT therapist actually is not always going to be the most helpful, because people that need CBT are usually people that need more self-awareness. So I'm going to recommend every time to find somebody that might know CBT, but look for a somatic therapist. Look for somebody that can bring the body into the equation, because a lot of times I would actually argue that when we struggle with low self-esteem, anger, any kind of emotional like overwhelm, everybody is just trying to regulate their nervous system. When we have contention with other people, when things are not working out in our life in terms of relational or how we behave, we're all just trying to come back to a state of stasis. And so if we don't feel safe to find that stasis, to have the self-esteem, right, we're going to look for it in all other kinds of ways or self-sabotage it. So if you can find somebody to work with that will help you to regulate your nervous system, you will find that your self-esteem will improve because you will trust yourself more. So I would recommend, if you're struggling with self-esteem, try to get in with not just a CBT therapist. Try to see someone, if you have the means, to work with you on a physical level as well to regulate that nervous system, because that's really what is missing, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a professional. These are all just my opinions from my own experience and my own reading. But that, to me, like when I have done somatic work, that is the work that has actually helped me become better. So that, and like, even when I'm having like an emotional upset and I have a hard time dealing with my feelings on my own, I still very much am human and I deal with this. I have noticed that when I bring my attention and my awareness back to my physical body, when I can trust that, I'm able to not like start spouting shit off and letting my trauma and my issues basically flood other people. So anyways, I feel like that was a really big question. I hope that helped. I know, like I said, a lot of the things that I mentioned there, unfortunately, are points of privilege that I have not always been privileged to actually go to therapy. That has been a really hard road for me. I know what it feels like to suffer alone, very alone and like in isolation. I know deeply what that feels like. And the one thing I will say is, if you're somebody that doesn't have access, you need to start looking for podcasts and books on people that cover this stuff, because like it is atrocious to me that mental health care isn't just a given. It should be. There's no reason why every person in the world can't have that, because we all deserve it. And I know what it feels like to not be able to have it and to have to kind of do shit by yourself. Same with like moving away from family. I don't want you to think that I've always done this from a privileged position either. Like, there have been times in my life where I have had less than $200 to my name, and I have had to sleep on the ground and build my life up from the ground. Like, I'm not somebody that everything has always just been handed to me. And like, even though, like I said, I'm talking about things that are privileges for sure, like, I don't want y'all to get the wrong impression that like I was just able to like do all this stuff. I've had to do really hard things in my life to get to the point to where I am today. And if anything, I hope that me saying this actually gives you hope for your future and what you're going through, to know that it won't always be this way. Okay, moving on. More of a lighthearted question, but we have what to make for dinner. I love questions like this because I love, like, you're always going to catch me with recipe content. Okay. One of these days I will write the Cozy Babes cookbook. I don't know when it's going to happen, but like that is in my like vision. I want to see that come to life someday. I don't know how. I would prefer to publish it like through a publisher because I do love to cook. I do have quite the repertoire of recipes that I have created. And what to make for dinner tonight, I'll tell you what I'm having. So tonight I am having New York strip steak. Thank you, Costco. I'm having New York strip steak that I literally just like season it with salt and pepper and cook it in avocado oil on cast iron. And I like my shit well done. Okay. I am not a medium well girly. I like it well done. I'll cook that on the cast iron until it's done to my liking. And then on the side, I like to do an arugula based salad. So I'll do arugula, cherry tomatoes cut in half, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, red wine vinegar, olive oil, salt, and pepper as the dressing. Trust me, this salad is so refreshing. Like you don't need anything else. Simple ingredients, throw them together, have them with your steak, maybe a little A1 sauce if you're feeling naughty. And oh my God, that to me is like the perfect summer dinner. Like either grilling the steak or cooking it on cast iron is the perfect, even though I know we're doing fall shit right now, that to me is like the perfect summer dinner, especially if you grill the steak. But that's what I'm having tonight. I also feel like we probably could cover more recipe content as we do more fall content in the future, but that's what I'm having tonight. So hopefully that helps you. Setting boundaries with a friend you used to be very close with. Ooh, that's so hard. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I am not an expert on this because I myself have been known to go ghost. You can ask ex-friends of mine. I'm not proud of this. This is something that I need to work on and I have been working on. I am definitely Casper the Friendly Ghost. I'm not proud of this. I think this is not cute behavior. I'm giving massive red flags right now, but I am aware of it. It is something that I am genuinely working on. I'm literally in therapy right now, or like about to, like, finally I have found the right therapist, or hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be the right one. We're still working on that relationship, but it is something that I am like genuinely trying to work on. In the past, I would let my anxiety flood me of like being afraid of abandonment. And so I would just ghost people before they could abandon me. And I think the only time that I have had like a healthy split from someone was probably like people that I haven't just completely cut out of my life. People that I genuinely, like, if I don't genuinely cut you out and like ghost off, I feel like I only keep people in my life that actually mean like, are like very special to me. I have like the only experience I could say that I have with that is like, I did try to have a couple of hard conversations first. It was really hard. I think both me and the other person in question felt that. And even now, I don't think things are necessarily solved, but I do think that we don't spend as much time together. And I think right now, I can't speak for them, but I'll speak for myself. It's what I need right now from that relationship. And I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing to take up space like that in your life, even if it's not about the other person. Like, they could be so wonderful, so great. You don't want to hurt them, etc. And you might just need a different vibe right now. And that is okay. It is okay to just be on a different wavelength into different things and choosing to spend your time elsewhere. In an ideal reality, we would communicate that with people. But if you're not ready to, and you're still dealing with emotional dysregulation around that, maybe it is time to consider getting into a therapy office and working on that. Because honestly, having real healthy adult connection is being able to state your boundaries and tell somebody, hey, I don't have as much free time as I used to. We're not going to be able to spend as much time together. And if the person in question gets angry, that should be the red flag. Like, so in a healthy world where we all have healthy connections, that would be the ideal, right? Is being able to communicate your needs. But if you are somebody that doesn't feel like you can communicate that need, or it doesn't feel safe, or it dysregulates you, it's time to deconstruct why you get dysregulated when you feel like you need to let your honest feelings be known towards someone. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like when setting boundaries with a friend that you used to be close with, like, it is so normal to have people pass through your life at different times. Most people are not friends for a lifetime. It is okay to not death grip people and like keep them in your life if it doesn't feel aligned anymore. And it is okay to state that, even if it's going to hurt. Like, I also think it's valuable to put yourself in the other person's shoes and ask yourself how you would want to be talked to in this scenario. And like I said, it's way more of a green flag if somebody can take that boundary and go, you know what, to keep and preserve our relationship, I can respect that. That's the kind of relationship you would want in your life. The people that cannot do it probably aren't going to make long-term friends. And it is unfortunate, but I do think that as a collective, we are getting so much better in the realm of mental health and communication, just in like interpersonal relationships, at least the people that are doing the work. I mean, maybe I have a skewed view because I feel like I only really surround myself with people that are mature enough to have those conversations as I'm growing. But I think that ultimately you have to not let the fear consume you and allow yourself to be honest, because at the end of the day, it is loving for you and it is loving for them for you to be honest with them. I hope that helps. When you feel torn on pursuing all the interests, but can only do one thing. Oh, baby, don't I know it? This is such a great question for me. I feel like I got to put my phone down. Y'all always know what that means. That means we're about to have a serious talk. So y'all know that I am like the queen of starting new projects, starting not so much in recent history, but for years I was like, I want to do it all. I want the podcast, the Patreon, the YouTube. I want the secondary channel. I want to make meditations and I want to make affirmation tracks and I want to make live streams and I want to write a book and I want to make a tarot deck and I want to like do all the things, right? The thing is, that has led me doing all the things. If you can like take my account and learn wisdom from it, when you do all of the things, you are going to spiritually, mentally, physically hurt yourself. I have done this to myself numerous times. I am currently, and I'm not going to say too much about this because I will talk about it probably more in the future, but I am currently going through an evolution of purifying this area of my life where I feel like I do all the things and I don't have room for what's really important to me. And purifying this, I say that with air quotes because I think about the eclipse season that we're entering right now. And I actually just made a whole video for my Patreon if you're interested, which if you are interested, please support me on Patreon. Genuinely, it is what makes this show possible. It is what keeps me afloat as a small artist or as a small independent creator. And it's a good time. I put up vlogs, extra pick-a cards, astrology reports, tarot reports. New content is literally added every single month. I have not missed a month of adding content since, when did we launch Patreon? Was that like 2021? It's been, I think, like 4 years that we've been doing Patreon. So literally there is new content all the time. I think I have over 500 posts that when you join, you get access to all of them. So check that out if you want more personalized content from me, as well as this month I did a special video where I've gone over the eclipses, what that means for your sign. But anyways, as I was saying, right now, as we are in this eclipse cycle, that is going through the signs of Virgo and Pisces. I have Virgo in my midheaven and in my 10th house as a Sagittarius rising. Any of my astro girlies know what I'm talking about. But this transit for me has been a purification of my career. It has been a purification of my long-term goals. It has been a, what am I doing? Where am I going? At the same time, counterbalanced by where do I feel like I don't have a foundation? How can I get my foundational needs met so that I can do these long-term things? Because for me, and if you're a Sag rising, it's the same for you. Might not be in your midheaven, but it will be in your 10th house if you're using whole sign. It's the axis between career long-term goals versus the home, the family, the roots, what kind of supports this. So I always kind of think of it like the roots of a tree, and then the 10th house is like the fruit on the tree or the highest point of the tree. So it's like we need those roots to support that bigger structure, where I really feel like in my life, I have discounted my roots. I have not done ancestry work. I have basically broken off from my family for multiple years at a time. And like, I still talk to my family. It's not like I am just like this absent person that totally cut contact off, which like so valid if you have in your lifetime. But I have felt like such a strong disconnect. I feel like a black sheep in my family. I feel like I don't really resonate with many of the people in my family because I have chosen to take such a different path in life. I have felt really unsupported, especially by my parents for all of my adult life. Like there's a lot of things that I am coming to terms with in my adult life now, of feeling like as an adult, I have really raised myself into adulthood. And that comes with a lot of pain and a lot of anguish. And I'm tending to those roots now, trying to make ancestral connections through my lineage, doing like, I hesitate to say spiritual work because if I could have a goof for a minute, it feels very like Mormon of me, because I used to be Mormon. I'm not anymore, but I was Mormon growing up. I was raised in the church, and they're all about like baptisms for the dead. And like, that was like, that's not, no, no, I'm not in a cult. But I think just like, making altar space for my ancestors and actually asking for their guidance and their support, which is something I have never felt called to do before. So anyways, I'm bringing all of this up because I am currently going through this very similar thing right now, where previously I had done everything. And I'm at a point now where I'm so burnt out that I am having to purify this area of my life. And it has come with a lot of thought and a lot of intuition. And like I said, there's going to be some things that are going to be changing around here, not really for the podcast. So if you're a podcast listener, don't really worry about this area. This is going to stay the same. But there's some changes that I'm making that have been really a long time in coming. And I think if I could say anything about this, what to do when you want to do all the things, make sure that your priorities are really straight or gay, whatever. Make sure that your priorities are really in check, because I think for a long time, my priorities were not in the right place. And I was hyper independent. I was constantly seeking masculine validation. I was doing things for high achievement and high praise. And it never really got to that place that I had always hoped for, like the pie in the sky. And in turn, trying to chase that so hard, I burnt myself out. And now I feel like a lot of the creative ideas that I've had never really have come to fruition because I tried to divide myself too many times. And now I'm kind of having a reckoning of like, what do I want to be doing? What is the most important to me? If money didn't matter and I still wanted to feed these creative outlets, do they actually fulfill me? Because you might also find that you have a good idea for something, but then you go to do it and it doesn't actually fulfill you. So I think it's really important to keep those things in mind. When you want to do all the things, know that you will not be able to. That right off the bat. Know that you will not be able to. Know that it will take one thing at a time. And the people that are the most successful at getting full-blown big projects, multiple things going, they have teams. They have people that work with them. This is where you get like your John and Hank Greens of the world, right? They author books. They do a lot of creative work. They also have full-fledged businesses, like their entire thing is an enterprise, right? Because they have like a bunch of employees now in so many different facets to their business. Same with Good Mythical Morning, Rhett and Link, right? Like these are people that have churned their creative passions into full-blown enterprises, but they have teams and swaths of people that help them bring these visions to life and even create new visions. So I think it's really important to note that if you plan to stay independent, you're never going to get it all done. And I promise you that is the reality. You will burn yourself out. You will never be able to do it all. Don't even play with yourself like that. So take it from somebody who has been there numerous times. When I was in the gaming industry, I was doing it. I was doing the same thing here in the current career that I'm in. Take it from somebody who has been there twice over. It's not worth it. It's not, if it costs you your mental health, it is too expensive. And you are your most valuable asset, because without you, nothing will get created and nothing would exist, not in the way that you would do it and bring it into the world. So treat yourself. I know it's hard to because I've been there. It's hard to see that when you just want to go and do and create and create and create, but you are your most valuable asset. So you need to treat yourself like the most valuable thing in the business. Always, whatever you're doing, whether it's a business or just a creative endeavor, however you want to look at it, you are your most valuable asset. And when you don't treat yourself like your most valuable asset, that is how you end up depleted and everything falls apart. How to address something with someone who has significant leverage over you and your family. Ooh. Sticky situation. Without knowing context, I feel like I can't really address this, but if they have financial leverage, I'm going to go with financial leverage here because I think that's what most people would be dealing with. If somebody has financial leverage over you, you need to start providing the pathways to get your financial leverage back. Even if it takes time, even if you got to plot that for a while. I am always going to be pro you opening your own bank account, you funneling your own money in some way, whether that is making your own thing, having your own little side thing, splitting up your checks in some way, because I know some works will do that where you can split a percentage of your check to go into another account. If it's money leverage, you need to come up with a plan to leverage out your own money. And especially if you're a woman, I don't know who you are, but I just feel like in this day and age, with how the patriarchy bubble has not fully burst, and it is like the extinction burst we are dealing with, things are just going to get louder and harder until we burst that bubble. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look that up, the patriarchy extinction burst. I am so pro women getting their needs met, especially monetarily, and not just letting somebody have full reign and control. I think this is something that has existed for probably hundreds of years. We do obviously as women have more rights now, but I mean, I say that loosely because look at how things are going. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but Lord knows how long we're going to have that. I'm not trying to I know that laws and the dismantling of things takes more than that, but it's a little bit scary times that we live in when it comes to that. And what I will say is if it is financial leverage, you need to come up with a plan to start acorning stuff away for yourself, for your future. Even if you have to be in a situation for longer than you would like, take the safe way out. Again, I don't know what the situation is about, so I don't want to say too much. And that's what I'm going to say on that. Okay. Making decisions and sticking to it. I feel like when you make a decision, the most important thing is consistency. It's not being perfect. Let me give you an example of this. Whenever I tell myself I'm going to work out 6 days a week, if I go in with the notion of I'm going to work out for an hour every day, 6 days a week, when I have been sedentary for a period of time, girl, I am setting myself up to fail. So if you tell yourself, instead of I have to work out 60 minutes a day for 6 days a week, tell yourself I just have to work out 6 days a week or 3 days a week or 4 days a week. And you can slowly start to tack days on. Even if you don't want to work out, put your walking shoes on or whatever you're doing, Get on that treadmill for 5 minutes. Tell yourself, if at 5 minutes I still don't want to be here, I will get off. Like, that to me is really the way that you get yourself to change, is by making it easy and also doing something you love. Don't do things that you hate. Like, if you want to change some kind of habit, especially like in the realm of working out, your physical fitness, your health, I am a big advocate. I am a really big advocate for doing workouts that you actually love, not forcing yourself to do it in a certain way that you've seen everybody else do it. And also doing it consistently, even if it's 5 minutes a day as you're starting. Like, the important part is that you show up every day versus showing up perfectly every day. That's how you stick to your decisions, is by making yourself be consistent, not perfect. And I think that is just like sage advice that I myself need to listen to sometimes. The times that I have been the most successful with changing something and making a decision are the times that I have been able to remain consistent in my conviction for it. Even if it was like, I want to post so many YouTube videos a week and that was my decision, I would need to be working on those videos probably 5 to 6 days a week, depending on how many. And even if I didn't want to show up to work that day, I would tell myself, do it for 45 minutes. And then if you don't like it, you can go do whatever else you're going to do. Or take a nap or a rest right now and then get up in an hour and go do it. The important part is that we have the consistency. It's not working 10 hours on one video for one day and then burning yourself out. It's, can I do it for 35, 40 minutes today and then pick it back up tomorrow and like have the consistency? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, try to break up your decisions like that and have the conviction to just be consistent. How to cope with lifestyle changes due to chronic medical conditions. Thank you. Oh, this is such a good question. So I love this question because I am currently dealing with this in my own life. And it has finally hit me, that thing that I just said about you being your best asset. Chloe Taylor has not treated herself like her best asset. And I haven't for a very long time. I have done things out of survival for too many years consecutively with very little reprieve. And I am at a point where I am literally saying, if it costs me my mental health, it is too expensive. And whatever consequences I have to deal with from that, I will deal with those consequences. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how I don't have a car anymore. My car got repoed. And I thought to myself, I could book private readings and probably earn a down payment for another car relatively quickly. But it would be burning me out at this point. With where my mental and physical health are right now, it would hurt me more than it would help me. And I would stress out because I would feel like I have to fulfill X amount of readings and I have to do it quickly. And there's like this whole thing. It's not that I hate doing personal readings. I actually love them. And if I'm in the space to offer them, they are such a good experience for me and the client. But when I'm offering them from a place of scarcity, of lack, of fear, this is how it like chips away at my mental health. And I become a version of myself that I don't like being. And with that, I do feel like currently I deal with a lot of chronic illness. I deal with chronic inflammation. I deal with lots of hormonal issues from PCOS. I deal with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I deal with Raynaud's. I deal with, all these fucking diagnoses, right? I deal with a lot. And I do think that a lot of contributing factors to my present health have a lot to do with stress and putting a lot of stress on myself to overachieve, overperform. And I am at a point in my life right now where I am saying, let it die. Like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Wherever I end up is where I'm going to end up. Wherever I land is where I'm going to land. I would rather just surrender right now. And we've talked about surrender numerous times on this podcast. I think I've even done full-blown episodes on surrender, but actually doing the practice of surrender when you are ready is actually quite a peaceful experience. Like, when you get to a point where you realize I cannot continue on like this and I will let go of whatever is hindering me, it actually comes from such a powerful place of letting go, of slipping into that void and recognizing that it is safe for you to be held in the void for a little bit. And I talk about this under the guise of chronic illness because for myself, which is always the place that I'm talking from, so it may not be everybody's experience, but for myself, when I overwork and try to overachieve, I will make any chronic conditions I have worse. And I recognize, and like, I feel like this is actually going to make me cry. I'm sorry. It's just been a really hard, 4 years. And I have had to, or I felt like I have had to, even if that is not the truth, it is what I perceived. I have felt like I have had to overperform in order to make a living, in order to make sure that my foundation is safe. And I am telling you, my foundation has not felt safe in 4 years. I have not felt at any given point in time in the last 4 years that I could make my rent on time. I have not felt like there have been times where I am struggling to meet my power bill. I am struggling to just so much scarcity and things not working. And I have always felt like it has been me that has needed to fix it. That if I could just work harder, that if I could just manifest harder, that if I could just get myself to get to this space of being optimistic and thinking about it in better terms, I could vibrate higher hard enough that I could fix this situation. And I actually think what was necessary has been to just let go. To just say, you know what? I'm not going to grasp this thing so much harder anymore. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I'm sorry that I got so emotionally worked up, but I haven't been able to say that because I felt too much shame for a really long time. I haven't been able to just say with full conviction before, up until very real, I'm talking the last few weeks since that new moon in Virgo that we had, I have not been able to say with full conviction and without shame that my mental health is worth it, that I'm worth it, that I'm not willing to let the way that I have conducted my life take from me physically and mentally any more than it already has. And it's been just a really emotional realization. And it's also made the lack of support I have felt that I have had in my life become harrowingly loud. And not from any of y'all, not from the people that I talk to in my day-to-day life, endless support. But I think about especially my upbringing, my family system, and how things never had to be this hard. And anyways, I feel like I'm getting carried away from your question. My point is that coping with lifestyle changes, number one, you got to be around supportive people. If I felt like my spouse was not supportive, I would have kicked that man to the curb. I feel like he is one of the very few people in my life that always supports my wants, my needs, my desires, excuse me. My best friend is very, very supportive. All of my friends that are closest to me are very supportive. And if I did not have those people, even new friends that I've been making, the few things that we've talked about, they've always been very supportive. And I think if I did not have that in my life right now at this time, I would be in a much different place. So number one, you need support for this. Even if it's an online community that you find support in, if you don't feel like you have it in your day-to-day life, you need to make sure that you have communal support for slowing down and making these changes and having someone to talk to, even if it's a friend. Obviously, I don't think putting all of your stuff onto a person is always good because they don't always know how to help. But If you can be in therapy for the transition, I would also recommend that. I'm always going to recommend that. And also just being kind to yourself and recognizing that like, it's not your fault necessarily always well, actually I would say with chronic illness, it's never your fault. It's not your fault that this has happened. And be gentle with yourself in knowing that things are maybe going to have to change, and it's okay. And it's safe for you to do that. And it might take time for those changes to fully form for you. And as somebody that has been like a chronic overachiever that has chronic illness, that has never really listened to my body's wisdom, and I'm learning how to do that right now, my only advice is that I wish I had done it sooner. I wish I had listened to myself and my body sooner. I feel like it has given me the mental capacity for so much more in my life. Like, even being able to just like enjoy a movie or a TV show. I am telling you, I have not been able to do that for the last few years because I felt so mentally, physically strained. And as I have kind of let things go and allowed myself to have more ease, even if it comes at the expense of some things, that has been like a saving grace. Like even my spouse has commented like, wow, Chloe, I feel like you are so much more available for me, like emotionally, and you're so much more present with me because I'm not so stressed out all the time, which again makes all those chronic problems worse. So anyways, I hope any of that helped. I feel like I just kind of rambled a whole bunch and got into my own shit, but maybe somebody needed to hear it. Okay. How to forgive yourself for things you can no longer change. Oh man, y'all are coming with the hard hitters today. I feel like this only is going to come from you. There's no one that's going to be able to do it for you. That's like thing number one. Nothing that anybody says or does. Like you could have people say certain things that might like help give you permission mentally that may help. But I feel like ultimately self-forgiveness has to come from a place of shining light on the shame. So when we don't have self-forgiveness, we have shame about what we've done or something that has happened. And the only way to get rid of the shame is literally to shine a light on it, because shame hides in the dark, right? And I talked about this last podcast where I talked about my car getting repossessed and how I didn't want this to become a shameful experience. I was like, no, I'm not going to harbor shame about this. The fact of the matter is, when I bought the car, I could afford it and now I can't. And like, that's the long and short of it. So many people are in that scenario. So many cars get repossessed on a daily basis. Like, this is not something to hold shame about. It just is. It's just fact. There is I don't need to write all these emotional stories about it in my body and in my mind. And so I purposefully talked about it because I feel like when we hide those things, when we don't talk about them, when we don't speak about them, they are able to harbor inside of us deeper. They are able to get their claws into us and they become this never-ending shame cycle. And that's how we are not able to forgive ourselves, because we harbor shame about what happened or what we did. And I would just say, if there is somebody in your life that you feel like you can speak to them, talk to them, allow someone to hold that space. I can't tell you how many times in my life that I have told my best friend something or my spouse something, and they have just listened and they have given me the permission to not be ashamed just by listening and not judging. We listen and we don't judge. So talk to somebody that can be non-judgmental. And sometimes people do find that with a therapist, but even if you feel like you're in a space where you can't talk to somebody because you know you're going to be judged, or you don't have the means to go to therapy, this might sound kind of woo, but go and talk to your ancestors. Go to a graveyard where they are. Go and talk to a tree about it. Like I said, I know that might sound kind of woo, but just voicing it out and getting it out of your body and out of your system and shining a light on it will ease that pressure and allow you to get closer to self-forgiveness. Like when I talked about my car getting repossessed, I could have accumulated shame about that. And I would have literally not had self-forgiveness. I could have sat and been like, I'm such an idiot. How could I let this happen? This is my fault. I should have done more. I should have tried harder, blah, 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 blah. It would have been my lack of self-forgiveness that would have created the shame. So in order to create self-forgiveness, we have to be willing to go in and feel the shame. And the only way out is through. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to avoid this and make your way out of it. You're going to have to go through it. The next question says mourning yourself. I'm assuming like mourning a past version of you. This is something that I am like weirdly very familiar with and I am currently dealing with. And actually, I wouldn't say I'm currently in the thick of it. I think that for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on the precipice of getting over it. And since 2021, when I had my big mental health crisis problem, I felt like I lost a part of myself when that happened. I did. I lost a part of myself. I lost a part of my innocence that I had before that. I was so much more whimsical. I was way less cynical. I believed so much more. I had so much more I had so much more faith. I feel like I was a different person pre 2021 and I was happier in some ways. In other ways, not so much. And I used to look back at this time in my life and I would think about how I would literally sit at my desk every day and I had a notebook and a pen and a cup of coffee. And I was like, yes, I am going to make these videos. I am so excited to be here. I can't wait to read these people's cards. I can't wait to clean my house and make dinner later. And like everything was exciting to me. And I had such whimsy. And going through a mental health crisis, I feel like a lot of that got knocked out. And I was like unable to function for a really long time after that. And even as like the years have passed on, I've thought about that time and I've been like, damn, I miss her. Like I miss that version of myself that was so joyous and so whimsical and could just like do anything. That was like the energy I felt like I lived in. And I was very, I don't want to say that I was happy all the time because I wasn't, but it was just a time period that felt like really big and exciting before like the split. And I really do feel like I've had to mourn that version of myself. I've had to, it's both and it's like you have to mourn things that you may never do again and like let yourself be sad about it. But also some things you can bring back. Like yesterday, for the first time in literally like 4 years, over 4 years now, I sat down at the desk behind me and I had my little notebook out and I was writing a bunch of video ideas out, not like trying to brainstorm necessarily, but like just me, my creative process. And I was like, what do I want to make? What do I want the month of September to look like? What do I want to make at this time? And I was just so into it. And I was like, oh my God, like it dawned on me. I had a cup of coffee, a pumpkin spice coffee. And I was like, wow, I'm doing it. This is the version of myself that I felt like got away from me. And here I am doing it on a whim without even trying. And like, that was the part of myself that I missed, was the part of me that could get into a flow state. The part of me that would just create and create and create and create because I was so in the flow that time would just kind of disappear and disintegrate. And that's the part of me I was always mourning for. She's still in there. She's still in there. We just hadn't given her the room to come out. So now that I'm in a place where I feel like I trust myself a little bit more, I'm not as anxious all the time. I'm not depressed all the time. I'm not fearing a panic attack all the time. I can make more room for that stillness. And I can make more room for that unknown and that creative process to evolve. And I feel like in the morning, there are parts of yourself that you will recollect, but there are also parts of you that you will have to let go. Like the fact of the matter is, I can't, in my current present life, I can't be making 3 videos a week, running a Patreon, live streaming on Twitch, and making a podcast. That would be ludicrous. I wouldn't sleep. There'd be no room for sleep in that schedule. And I can't do all of that and keep my house immaculate and put dinner on the table every night. Like, there has been so much dismantling of my previous self that I've had to go through. And that's also, like, without getting too much into it, because my husband isn't here to like talk about his side, I do feel like that's also come at like dismantling relationships around me. Me and my spouse are together. We're very much in love. I'm not saying that we dismantled our relationship, but we definitely have had to come to a crossroads of like understanding who is responsible for what, and divvying up household tasks, divvying up dinner and breakfast, and not always putting everything on one person. And it just like, I feel like that really had to go out the window. Like, I was not going to be this like Utah version of myself that like ran this super crazy business and also like did like, do you know what I'm talking about? It's giving like Mormon MLM mom, housewife, trad wife. Like, I felt like that was like what I used to emulate without kids. I used to be the person that was like, I'm going to go have this big career, but I'm also going to take care of my spouse and the house. And like, that's what I should do. And nobody stopped me. So like, I feel like I really had to dismantle that and like mourn that version of myself that thought that was a good idea. And I think unfortunately in today's society, like, that really has been fed to a lot of women, and a lot of women are having to reconcile with that. But I'm grateful that I'm in a partnership where that was like an easy well, I don't want to say it was easy. I think I took it hard, but not like, how do I say this without like, like, I don't think my spouse took it hard. He wasn't like angry about it or anything. It was actually, I think, very like eye-opening and like a moment to connect closer in dissecting these like gender roles that we had. And it was a good thing, but I still had to mourn the version of myself that wanted to do it all, right? I still had to mourn and like be sad about that, but also reconnect with the parts of myself that I really miss that are still there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, how to mourn yourself. You have to let yourself be sad. You got to let yourself cry about it. And also, if there are parts of you that you really want to reconnect with those parts. Okay. Dating a man who just got out of a marriage and says they don't need to heal, they are healed. Run. Don't even date that man. I am telling you right now, fucking run. Any man that can look at you and says, I am healed, is full of shit. Do not take him on that word. I don't care. Like, I'll die on this hill. Because no person is ever healed. We can heal from situations for sure, but there's always more work to be done because there's always more things coming into our awareness, whether they are new things that happen or old things that we recognize. So no one is ever going to come to this point of just, oh, I'm complete now. That doesn't happen. Not in this lifetime, honey. So run, absolutely fucking run. I would never, this would be a red flag to me. If I was in the dating pool and I was not in a relationship and some man said this to me, I'd be like, thank you for your time, sir. We are done now. I have like extremely high standards in relationships though. And I think that's a good thing. I think all women should have extremely high standards. In the patriarchy that we live in, all women should have high standards. I just, run, absolutely run. How to make yourself a priority. This is difficult work. And actually, oh my gosh, there is this book that I'm currently reading. Thank you so much. Shout out to Elizabeth if you're watching this. There's this book that I'm reading called The Heroine's Journey. And it is basically the feminine version of the hero's journey. Very, very good book. Oh my God. I have cried so many times. I also recently just read What My Bones Know by Stephanie Fu. Cried. That book was so good. Healed parts of me that I didn't even know needed healing. But this book, The Heroine's Journey, it is so good. And there is something that this book said, and I highlighted it because it was so important for me to read it. And I'm probably going to mess up the wording a little bit because I don't know it by heart, but it basically said that when you do nothing, when you decide to be still, to just be, being is the ability to just be with yourself without consuming, polluting, or like basically doing anything. Just being with yourself is an act of self-love And it is work. And this was like a mind-blowing thought to me, because I always thought that like being would be effortless. To just be would be an effortless thing. It's not. Being is actually very effortful, because you have to be able to sit with yourself and know yourself without distraction, without consumption, without anything, right? With just the thoughts in your mind, your breathing pattern, you have to be with you. And this was thought provoking to me because, like I said, I always thought like, oh, being would be so easy. It's actually work. And I bring this up because where did that question go? I feel like when we make ourselves a priority, you have to actually like yourself. And many of us are trained not to like ourselves and not like our own company and not like to be with ourselves. And that is kind of the groundwork that you have to start with, is actually respecting yourself and liking yourself enough to prioritize yourself. And I think the best way that I have found to do this, because I have struggled, is that I look at how I treat my friends and my spouse. And I say to myself, because I do think that I struggle with anxious attachment, I say to myself, when I am like treating people with love and kindness and giving to them and prioritizing them, that is amazing. I am doing such an amazing service to people in my life. People in my life are blessed because I bless them with my presence, with my energy, with talking to them, the same way that my friends do that for me. The same way that my spouse does that for me. I am blessed by people in my life. So I try to like put myself on both sides of the coin, in my own shoes and in other people's shoes giving to me. And I remind myself that like all of this is good. Like the way that I see my best friend and how she shows up for me, like I give that same thing to her. I hope anyways. That's the hope, right? Is that we're having an equal exchange. And same with my spouse. What he gives to me, I hope I'm also giving, right? We're doing a harmonious back and forth. And when I want to prioritize myself, I think when I don't prioritize myself, I can convince myself that I'm not worthy of it, that I'm not good enough for it, that I can't do it, shouldn't do it, not worthy of it. I'm actually a terrible person, da 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 da. The list goes on and on. But when I remind myself of what a good friend I am or how good people are to me, it like helps me somehow to reframe. And I feel like I'm not doing this justice the way I'm explaining it, but I feel like it helps me when I have those thoughts of like, I'm not worthy of it, or I shouldn't prioritize me. I don't need all of that. I'm fine. I remind myself that other people treat me well, and they already see how worthy I am. So like, why can't I see that, basically? And that reframe helps me. That may not help everybody, but that reframe helps me to know that like people that I genuinely love and trust, and I would go to the moon and back and to fucking Saturn for these people, that they pour that into me as well and I receive it. Like, why would they do that if I wasn't worth being made a priority? Do you see what I mean? Like, I feel like that helps me. But making yourself a priority, there is kind of nothing to it but to do it. And you've got to start from that foundation of self-love is, to me, like the biggest takeaway. Finding who you actually are after years of people pleasing. This is hard. This is hard. But again, kind of like the previous question, you really have to work on actually loving yourself and your own company. Because if you don't love yourself and your own company, it's going to make that journey way harder. And this is something I have had to work on in my own life that I'm still working on. I don't always love myself in every moment. I try, but it's not the reality of the situation. Sometimes I think I say stupid shit. Sometimes I think that I'm not worth human connection, or why would anybody want to hang out with me or talk to me? Like, sometimes those thoughts surface, and they're not they are my thoughts, but they probably are rooted from somewhere else, right? From abandonment issues from childhood, or I can think of a lot of places all that came from that I don't want to divulge right now. But my point is that finding who you actually are after years of people pleasing, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And it's a beautiful journey, though, that you should allow yourself to go on, because you start to know yourself so much better. It actually really used to piss me off when, and I think I actually said this in a more recent episode, maybe within the last 6 months, where I said it used to really piss me off when I would hear people say like, oh, at 30, I know myself so much more, blah, 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 blah. I felt like in my late 20s, I knew myself. And at 30, I had a mental health crisis and I lost that. That was how it felt anyways. And I feel like only at 34, 4 years later, I am starting to know myself again. And I'm like, oh, this is what everybody was talking about at the turn of 30. Like, I feel like I actually know myself now. I know what I like and what I don't like. I know what I'll tolerate. I know what I won't tolerate. I know when it's important for me to speak up for myself, when it's important for me to recognize that somebody is speaking from their pain and it has nothing to do with me. I'm very good, or not perfect, but better at setting boundaries and stating my needs. I'm better at looking at green flags in relationships and red flags in relationships. Like, I know what my preferences are. And I said this in my last episode as well. I'm not at war with myself right now. Like, for the first time in many years, I am not at war with myself right now at all. There is no part of me that is at war internally. And I'm actually like very calm, and not every day. Sometimes I have moments, everybody does, but I actually think I'm very calm, and I'm like listening to my intuition more. And it's made me not people please and like stand up and say the thing if it feels uncomfortable. And it just takes time and practice and listening to yourself, because when you have done a lifetime of self-abandonment, it's going to take time to not abandon yourself. And that, I think, is the most important thing to always remember when we talk about like people pleasing. Don't even call it people pleasing. Call it self-abandonment. Call it what it is. Because when we people please, we are abandoning ourselves. And if you say that, oh, I'm self-abandoning again, let me rephrase that. You will start to catch yourself and you will get better at not self-abandoning, but you have to make it a point and almost make it hard so it can get easy. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. I'm 26 in a month. I feel overwhelmed, behind in life. Life is so expensive. I worry about decisions. Oh, this was like a 3-parter. I worry about decisions as the wrong one could be put on me at the wrong trajectory, and I don't want to waste my 20s. What big sister advice do you have for navigating mid to late 20s? Oh man, I'm going to come at this from a perspective of, if I could talk to my mid 20-year-old self again, what would I say? And mean it. And this might be helpful to you. It might not, because we are different people. But the first thing I would say to my 26-year-old self that I think she would really need to hear is a quote from Billy Joel, which is, you cannot be everything you want to be before your time. Let me repeat that. You cannot be everything you want to be before your time. And in my 20s, I wanted everything. Okay. I was watching people like Amanda Francis and Manifestation Babe, and I saw these people with these big lives, these multiple $1,000,000 lives. And I wanted that. And I was like, I want to be a multimillionaire too. I don't want to work a normal job. I want to be a YouTuber and a content creator. And I want to be like somebody that is, I don't think I actually wanted fame. I've always said that. I've never specifically wanted to be famous or to be well known. I just wanted to make really good money. And in my mid 20s, that I would say was probably my core focus. And I wanted to be like the next fucking PewDiePie because I wanted to make good money. And I wanted to like build a foundation and build stability, but I didn't know the first thing about stability and foundations and banking and investing and all that stuff. I still don't know a lot of that stuff, if I'm honest with you. I barely have a savings account. Like, well, I'm actually doing a lot better with that. We've talked about that. But like, when it comes to all of that, I wanted to be everything I could be before my time. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to overachieve because I told myself at 30 I wanted to be, the big overarching things. And I apologize if some of these words are offensive, but this is how I was thinking in my mid-20s. I wanted to be skinny by 30. I wanted to be a multimillionaire at 30. I did not want children at that time. I wanted to be a multimillionaire. I wanted to have a really nice car. I wanted to have a really nice house. And I had all of these goals and aspirations that were rooted in wanting my parents' validation. And I don't know if this is something you struggle with, but if I could just speak so candidly for a moment, I would be openly willing to state and stand behind it that I sought my parents' validation probably until I was about 31. And I hate to say it because there were times where some things got dismantled. Like I dismantled a lot of opinions of both of my parents, but at the end of the day, a lot of the goals that I had came from this place of my mother saying to me at a very young age that her children, which I am a part of, would never amount to anything. We would maybe own cars in our lifetime, but that would be it. And I took that in at a really young age and was like, I need to make something of myself. I need to be somebody. I need to have what my parents never had, which to me, my parents have never quite hit the status that I think they wish they had. They both have Chiron in Capricorn, which is all about achieving status and feeling like you've never gotten it. And so me over here with my Chiron in Cancer, which is so funny, it's the opposite, was like, well, I'll achieve the goals that they didn't achieve. And I didn't know this consciously. This was all an unconscious thing that was happening. And I'll go and make the millions. I'll go and make this big business. I'll live this big life. And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's wrong to want a home and to drive a nice car and to have nice shit. If that's what you like, dream on, baby. But I was doing it for the wrong reason. And I wanted all of these things because I wanted my parents to love me, accept me, appreciate me, and be the parents that I wish they had been to me. And the fact of the matter is, the harrowing truth is, my parents will never be those people because the love that I need in my life, unfortunately, is something that they were never given. So they are never going to be able to give it to me. And I've had to come to terms with that in my 30s. But even when I moved into my last house and I got into that big achievement, I was driving my dream car around, all these things happened for me. I was not a multimillionaire, not even fucking close. I was in debt and lots of bad monetary things happening. But going through that experience, I'll never forget getting into that house and feeling so empty and recognizing, I didn't know at the time, but it was because my goals were rooted in the wrong thing. And I wanted something that I had been chasing all of my adult life. And over the last 4 years, I have had to come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to get that. People don't talk enough about how hard it is to mourn people that are living when they're to mourn people that are still alive and the relationships that you will never have. And I hate that for me, hate that for anybody who experiences that. But if I could tell my 26-year-old self, it would be that. It would be get in with a good therapist and start dismantling why you put your parents' opinion of you at the center of your life. Start learning to reparent yourself right now. Start learning, even if it took time to really fully get there, I wish I had started working on that instead of chasing goals that didn't really make sense. And now I'm kind of at a really beautiful place in my life, if this is any hope for you, that I'm getting to design my life now at 34 in a way that is complementary to what I actually want, the things that I actually value, and not holding the values of people that never had my best interest at heart anyways. So if I could go back and tell my 26-year-old self anything, it would be that. It would be to dismantle your parents being the center of your world, even if you have a good relationship with your parents, I think that this is something that everyone needs to go through, is dismantling them being the center of your world and the center of who you should become. I would also tell myself that I would tell myself to save money because there were times in my career where I made pretty good money, far and few between, but it did happen. And even if I had just saved and invested like a fraction of that money, I could have been in a much different financial situation right now than I'm in. And it could have saved me. Like, I could have gone through my whole mental health crisis and actually paid for help. Like, I could have made my life so much easier over the last 4 years instead of struggling over and over and over again. So like, you know, chase your goals, chase your dreams. Don't let that spark die out. But like, if you make a lot of money at any point in time, put away half of it, put away 50% of it, do something with that. Invest it, save it, do whatever you're going to do. Like, things depreciate over time. Your car is going to depreciate. Your computer is going to depreciate. Like, things, I think that's the right word. Things lose their value over time. So like, don't blow all your money on shit that's going to go like, I'm not saying don't treat yourself. Okay. I'm a Taurus. Always treat yourself, but things go down in value over time. And it's way better to put your money somewhere that's going to support you in the long term. And I feel like those are the two things I would say to myself. If you're cripplingly afraid, please know, goddess willing, that you don't pass before then, obviously. We all hope that everybody gets to live a long life, even if we don't know. But goddess willing, you're going to have so much time. You're going to have so much time. Also, I would tell myself not to get married in my 20s. I love my spouse. I'm so grateful he's the person that I ended up with. But even if we had continued to stay together during that time, I wish we had waited until we were about 30 to get married. And not because I don't think that we would have stayed committed, but I felt like my wedding at 23, it was what I wanted at the time, but I was not my best self. I don't think I was a bridezilla. I don't think I was a bad person, but I let too many people take over that day that was supposed to be special for me and my spouse. And there was a lot of like weird family fuckery that went on. And there were too many people at our wedding. Like, me and my husband had a guest list of 200 people. If I could do it all again, 50 would be the cap, maybe even 25. Like, I wouldn't even invite all of my immediate family. My immediate family is bigger than that. I would want a very, very, very small, like, vow renewal in the forest or by the beach. And I would want it different. And I would want it to be more about celebrating the people that have always supported me and my husband, as well as supporting the love that we nurture. And I just would have done things so differently. I would have done things so differently. So I know those aren't all specific to your questions, but like I said, basically, if I could go back and tell myself in my mid-20s, like, what to do, those are the things I would have done. That's what I would have changed. And also, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I have made mistakes. And from those mistakes, I have learned. I have gained something from those mistakes. It is worth it to make mistakes. Don't fear mistakes. Because when you make them, you do learn more about yourself. If we all lived lives where we never made mistakes, we would never learn anything. So don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are good. Tutorial on hexing, please. I don't really hex people. I don't. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell everybody on the internet how to do it, because then people would know how to undo my hexes. So like, I can't really do that anyways. But I think a freezer spell goes a really long way if you want to like deal in something like that. I think like look up freezer spells. I think a freezer spell goes a long way. Narcissistic mother going no contact and the guilt that comes with that. I honestly think that would so be a good full episode. And I don't know when I would ever make that, because I myself still really struggle with this. I am not no contact with my mother. I wouldn't even say that I know that she's a full-blown narcissist. I do think she has narcissistic tendencies. Sometimes I think she is a full-blown narcissist, but I don't like, without having a clinical diagnosis, it's hard to say that, but trust me when I tell you, I understand mother hunger. I deeply, intimately understand mother hunger. I know what it feels like to crave that nurture so bad that you would give anything to have it. I know what it feels like to tell your mother till you are blue in the fucking face what the problem is. Try to make a connection over and over and over and over and over and over, and constantly be gaslit, constantly be told that I'm the problem. I know exactly what that feels like. And I know what it feels like when you try to bring things up to heal them and your mother just will deflect and project and not listen to what you're saying. I know exactly what that feels like. And there's a lot of guilt that comes with it. There's a lot of shame that comes with it. There's a lot of feeling like you're less lovable, like you don't deserve love or nurture, like you're the problem because you feel guilty about the things that they say. I know what that feels like intimately. And then they have the audacity to come back and say, well, I don't know why you're upset with me. When for like 10 years, you constantly would tell them why you were upset. And they just chose not to listen or internalize or have a fucking internal monologue about it. It's always the people that refuse to go to therapy that put people in therapy, right? The people I go to therapy because the people that refuse to go. And I will also die on the hill if it helps you like feel seen and heard, that if your adult children don't talk to you and you don't have a good relationship, it is 100% the parent's fault every single fucking time. And the reason I say that is because children are biologically programmed to want their parents' love, affection, all of it. Like, this is going to sound crazy. I'm going to say something crazy. I have wanted a mother relationship in my life so badly. I have actually looked to outsource it before. I have literally tried to see if there are services because like you can hire a professional cuddler, you can hire someone for sex, you can hire an escort, you can hire, like, you know what I'm saying? We can hire people for a lot of services. And I was like, can I hire a mom? Like, can I hire someone to like be an older, wiser, non-religious, preferably woman in my life to just like guide me through the transitions of adulthood? Can I hire someone that I can talk to that like maybe I could like make bread for and cookies for, and they could do the same thing? And maybe we could have like a matching PJ night once a month where we like order a pizza together and drink wine and watch a movie together, like that. Like I have literally looked up to see if this service existed, where like maybe women that have never had daughters are looking for like an adult daughter-like connection, and daughters that feel motherless or experience mother hunger are looking for older, wiser women. And as far as I can tell, the service does not exist, but I feel like somebody should design an app that matches these people. I feel like we should have an app the way that we can do like Bumble BFF and find friends. I feel like we should have mother-daughter connections, because I feel that adulting is hard. Daughters provide so much wisdom. Mothers provide so much wisdom. And so many of us are so displaced from that because we have not had it. And yeah, I hurt so much for this. I starve for this in my life. And so much to the point that I have tried to outsource it. So like, trust me when I tell you, I know what you're talking about intimately. And there's a lot of things I don't say online because I fear that my own mother is going to watch my content. And even though I would stand on business, I'd be like, yeah, I said what I said. I still am afraid. Like that is like the fear, the shame, the guilt. Like that is very real. Even when I make content publicly speaking on it, I still have to deal with the fear that like, well, this might end up at my doorstep. I might get a phone call like next week that my mom listened to this and now I have to hear about it. And like, we probably won't even be able to solve the issue because she'll still project and deflect. So, anyways, yeah, that needs an entire episode. I don't think I can talk about like mother hunger and narcissistic parents. That's like a 2-parter easily. Like that is the bane of my existence. Okay. Motivation to put more effort into my hair. Honestly, remind yourself how you feel when you do it. When your hair is done, you feel better. At least I do. When my hair is done, I feel like I carry myself different. I have more confidence. I am a little bit happier. I feel more refreshed. I feel like when I go out in the world, I have more confidence. Remind yourself, like, it's kind of like a workout to me. It's like you never regret a workout. I never regret doing my hair. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me gives me the motivation I need. And also looking up cute hairstyles. I think that helps too. Things that like suit your face, things that suit your hair length. Make a Pinterest board and look up a bunch of new hairstyles and commit to trying a new hairstyle for a week. Like, there are definitely ways to get it. Okay. And then lastly, I would love an episode on long-term relationships and when it is the right time to call it quits, etc. Ooh, that would be, okay. I would probably have to make a full episode on that because I do have things to say about that. Not in regards to my own relationship, but like how I would know that I'm done. Like if I was going to leave my relationship, these are things that I'd be like, no, if you cannot meet this, I don't want it. Maybe we could talk about like relationship red flags. I think that would be a fun episode. To answer your question though, in a way that's a little more goofy, and maybe we can come back to this topic in the future. I have this thing where I have relationship red flags that if you do these things, we can't be friends. Like, and obviously it's not a romantic partner, but could be. I think I would not allow this from a romantic partner either. I have 2 things, okay? 2 things. And this is goofy. This is silly. It's not meant to be like, it is serious and I am serious. I really feel this way, but it's meant to be a little bit more lighthearted and funny. Okay. So there are 2 rules that I have for friendship. And if you cannot meet these 2 things, we cannot be friends. Like, and there are reasons. Okay. And I'll tell you the reasons. So number 1, if you don't like to read, we can't be friends. And the reason why is because I believe that reading opens your mind to somebody else's perspective. Now, I don't care what it is. If it's a textbook, if it's fantasy, if it's self-help, if it's spirituality, if it's sci-fi, I don't care what it is that you read. As long as you read, we could be friends because like I said, reading opens people's minds to other people's perspectives than their own. And so I feel like if you don't read, you're just living in your own head all the time. Like, no. That is a huge red flag to me. And if you don't read, we can't be friends. Secondarily, if you get road rage, we cannot be friends. No, I will not be friends with somebody that gets road rage. And it's not because I don't think like feminine rage is real. Like be rageful, be mad. That's fine. I think rage and anger are sacred. But if you're getting rageful on the road, when you don't know what that other person's experience is, you have problems. I said what I said. Like, and this is triggering for me too, because my mother gets road rage and she has my entire life. And it comes from this place of lack of putting yourself in somebody else's position. And I can't handle that. It drives me crazy. Okay. So like, put it this way. If somebody like cuts you off in traffic and you are like yelling, angry, pissed immediately, this to me is a red flag, because what if that person's wife is in labor and they are not thinking 100% clearly? They're just trying to get there. Be grateful you don't need to go anywhere that fast. If somebody like doesn't turn their turn signal on, maybe they are thinking about how like today is the last day they want to be on earth and they are preoccupied. Like, and you getting angry and pissed off, you're like, that's the thing that sends them. Like, I'm not saying we have to consider this every single time, but like that to me, like road rage to me is such an easy thing that we don't have to participate in. I'm not saying it can't be irritating, especially if somebody like almost is a threat to your life. It can be irritating, but I'm talking people that get like crazy and like write narratives for people in their head that they don't know anything about. Like I said, I grew up with this and I felt like it was a character flaw. So I don't like road rage. I don't fuck with people who do road rage, and I don't fuck with people who don't read. And those are like my two baseline qualifications. If I am like making new friends, if you get road rage, we are not friends. And if you don't like to read, we're not friends. I need more. I need more. And I would definitely not tolerate that from a significant other whatsoever. I got a protein shake. Oh, let me shake it. I got a protein shake with us today for the girly pop chat time. I can't remember what we call this segment, but here we are in our jammies. I've got a vanilla Oikos protein shake, 30 grams. It's not my fave protein shake. Like, I like the flavor of it, and the ingredients are pretty good, but they're not great. Like, they still put sunflower oil in this. Why? I don't know. It is beyond understanding or comprehension, but honestly, it feels weird to sit and do a life catch up right now because there are big things, but I'm not ready to talk about them. No, I'm not pregnant. No, nobody's dead. It's not like that, but there are things in my life that are changing, but I'm not like, you will hear about it. I promise you will hear about it, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And not because like, I actually really want to, and I'm sorry it's like this, but I'm still planning how I want to talk about it. So I'm still kind of in like the ideas phase for it. Just know that these eclipses that are hitting my career house and my home and family house and my like stability and changing things, just know that that is very real for me right now. It's a very real, like, tangible experience. And I think honestly, like, famous last words, because we're not in the thick of it yet. I think these eclipses are actually going to be kind of good for me, healing for me. And they're a turning point in my life that I've needed to hit for a long time. So anyways, I will be talking about that in the future. Rest assured, probably by the time like eclipse season ends, you're going to hear something. But especially those of you that follow my other YouTube channel, Chloe Taylor, not just the podcast. But things are a-changing. And I feel like I'm definitely in a season of, I keep using the word purification, because to me, that is very Virgo. We're in Virgo season. I feel like I am going through a purification of a kind, and the cleansing of, the redistribution of, these are like words and phrases that are coming to me at this time. And I feel like it is wholly necessary. And I'm definitely doing some shit. I'm definitely doing some shit. But I think the most beautiful thing that has been going on in my life right now, if I could share something with you, is I'm really learning, and I talked about it in this episode, I'm really learning how to be with myself. And like, even when I am starting to feel like, the other day for the first time ever, I had almost like panicky, anxious feelings come up. And I just laid down with myself and I said, it's okay for me to feel fear. It's okay for me to feel afraid. Things that are out of my control are happening. And, you know, that's life. All of us experience things that are out of our control and can cause fear. It's okay that I want to jump to catastrophizing. I'm just trying to keep myself safe. And my nervous system is trying to do a good thing. But it's okay if I just feel this. It's okay if I just let this fear sit in my body right here. And it's okay if I just let it have room. And it went away. And it went away. And I didn't have a panic attack. And it was like this awesome experience. And I also, same with like I feel like, I hate to say it because I think I'm like a professional crier. Like, I cry a lot. I am somebody who does cry a lot. But I really feel like recently I've been doing a lot of crying and purging in that way, like purging emotion. And the other day I was going to sit down and make this podcast. And I was like, I am just feeling so emotional. Like, I am feeling so emotional. I don't feel right with myself right now. And I could make myself make this video, but it's not going to come out right. And so then I was like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let myself do what feels good for me right now. And what felt good was putting my PJs on, getting into bed, and reading a book. So that's what I did. And then I proceeded to finish that book and almost finish another one. So, like, it's okay to be. And I think this is something that if you've never been your own like business owner, if you've never had your livelihood depend on whether you were going to like have a video pop off or not, if you've never been through some of the shit that I've been through, it might not make sense. Like, some of y'all are okay just like being. Some of y'all are super okay to just like get into a hobby or watch a show or leave your work at work. I'm somebody that has really struggled for a long time to do that. Whether it was because of my mental health and I would want to distract myself, or because it didn't feel safe enough in that moment, or I was trying to work towards something so obsessively that I couldn't put it down, or I wouldn't put it down, rather. And I feel like right now I've been really exploring, what if I just went slow? What if I just went slow? What if I just listened to my body? What if I just let my body tell me with its innate wisdom what I should be doing? And I did. I laid in bed and I read books and I cried a bunch, and it was like a very healing experience. And then at the end of the day, I didn't judge myself for laying in bed all day, and it was good. It was good. It was good. And I just feel like I finally feel like I'm healing. Like, not just like putting a Band-Aid on something, not just trying to self-help my way out of it, not just trying to read as much as I can on something and intellectualize everything, which I'm very good at. I feel like I'm actually like really feeling through a transition in my life right now, where like I'm changing things about my life in a major way, and more on that in the future. But I'm changing things in my life in a major way right now. And I feel like I'm really letting myself be present, even if I don't have a car and I get scared about paying my bills every month and things feel intense. I feel like I'm able to connect with myself, even though there might be a storm around me. And this is something that I have always wanted to be able to do in my life. And I've never felt like I've had the capacity. So I feel like I'm like very much emotionally maturing right now. And that feels really good. And that feels really brave. And I'm really proud of myself. And last week I told y'all I'm not at war with myself for probably the first time in many, many, many years, maybe if ever. I am not internally at war with myself. And I'm just like allowing myself the space to like be and breathe, and I'm not pushing myself 24/7 to like find the next routine, find the next thing that's going to help me, read the next book that's going to help me. Like, no, I'm actually just letting myself be. And like being in my own presence didn't feel safe before, but now I have the capacity and the safety. So like that feels really amazing to be able to say that. Like mentally, I think I'm actually like, I don't want to say I'm in a good place, but I think I'm like actually healing. I'm actually getting better, and I can see it reverberate out in my life. And I actually think the number one, believe it or not, the number one contributing factor to all of this is friends, is my social life. I think that I've made some local connections, and I spend time talking to friends, celebrating other people, not just like for personal gain, which I wouldn't do that anyways, but like really just to be present with a community, with other people, and just like let myself experience the wisdom of other people. And I think this is something that in today's society, especially post 2020, a lot of us have gotten away from this. And being in community and listening to other people's wisdom, even if you don't agree with it, even if somebody like, even if it's not like exactly how you want it to come out, like there is just something magical about being in that presence. And it's something that my life has been missing. Physical people in my life. Like, even if we're just like meeting for a few hours, those that have like, I don't want to like cry about it, but like those have been like life saving to me. And as someone that has dealt with intense loneliness and intense anxiety and intense agoraphobia and intense, like I would even say possibly OCD tendencies as well. I definitely struggle with a lot of like rumination, especially medically, a lot of like ruminating on things to an obsessive degree, not like washing my hands a bunch. Like, I think that's a really like, that's not even really what OCD is. I have not been actually, have I? I have not been professionally diagnosed with OCD, but sometimes I think I might have something. But I also think that this is such a bigger conversation, but like, I also think that sometimes when you experience trauma can mimic so many other mental health issues. And I'm telling you right now that going through what I went through in 2021, that trauma gave me a bunch of other mental health problems. And because a lot of those things did not present until after that. So I also think like, I'm also like going to see a therapist in, it's like in a few weeks from now, but I'm not going, I'm going to do virtual therapy. Unfortunately, I wish it was in person, but I don't have a car. So got to do it virtually, but I'm finally like in therapy for real. I feel like I've said it so many times and then like things have fallen through, or like my insurance wouldn't cover it. Like, I've had a lot of issues trying to get into therapy, and I finally found someone that specializes in exactly what I'm looking for. They're a somatic therapist that does IFS, which is really important to me. And I feel like this arc of my life, even though I can't see it fully yet, even though I don't know what it's going to look like, I feel like this is the beginning of like my redemption arc, my redemption from like the last 4 years. And I don't think it's going to come without work. I don't think it's going to come without crying a lot. I don't think that like, I think it is going to be work from me still in a different way though. It's not going to be like physical work. Like, how do I explain this? I don't think it's going to be like actually working, like making podcasts, making videos, content creating. I don't think it's going to be that kind of work. I think it's going to come from doing more like working on being present with myself, working on loving myself more, working on building my self-trust and my self-confidence, working on my boundaries, working on feeling safe in my nervous system when I have to deal with conflict. Like, it's that kind of work. And I really think that I'm just in the right place at the right time with the right conditions. I'm ready to be in this. I feel like I said it earlier in the episode, but like, if you listen to all the questions, I talked about how there is so much like peace in just saying like, what is for me is for me. I'm going to let everything go, and what is for me will stay. What is not for me will pass. And like, surrender. Like, I am in such a state of surrender about a lot of things in my life right now. I'm not clinging heavily to any one thing. And I just feel like I'm finally in the right place for a redemption. And I don't even want, like, redemption almost doesn't even seem like the right word, because I feel like redemption has a lot of like ideals attached to it. But I've been like praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and praying for a calm chapter, for a chapter of my life where I can feel the ground under my feet, where I can do my work, but not be self-sacrificing about it, and still have time for loved ones and friends, and be surrounded by a support system, and be able to get all my basic needs met without fear, and like basically wanting the bare minimum. But I feel like I'm finally coming to a place where like I'm going to be able to get those needs met. And I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know how long the journey is going to take, but I really have faith, and not in a religious way, but I really have faith that like things are just going to work out. And even if I have to face some hard shit, like I'm as ready as I will ever be. So I feel like things are going, I hesitate to say well, things are going. I feel like in our next episode, we'll probably be able to cover a little bit more of some stuff in detail, but just know right now for my life update for the girly pop chit chat, like I know this isn't as bubbly as I normally am, but I think it's because we're literally in eclipse season just about, and I am feeling those feelings. Like the eclipses are going through my 10th and 4th houses, and those are major. Like anybody with a Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, or Gemini placements, this eclipse cycle is going to hit us harder. And I already feel it. I already can feel how intense the transformation is going to be. And I don't think it's something I need to be scared of. I think it's something that for once I am meant to embrace and let this cycle really pull me in, because it is, for the first time, I feel like I have some fucking clarity on something. I agree with myself on things. So yeah, I'm like, we're in the middle of these eclipse cycles and like, I don't really know what's going to happen next. We probably won't have a podcast next week. I've been kind of doing bi-weekly uploads for right now. That may change in the future, but right now I'm striving for at least bi-weekly. I would love to do more, but right now it's eclipse season. I am not going to promise nothing to anyone, because I don't know, like, especially when you have stuff going over your 4th house, which I will have the full moon eclipse in my 4th house. That is a time where you don't want to be seen and you don't want to be fucked with. So anytime you go through a 4th house, like hella 4th house transits, nah. That is, to me, that is shit in your 4th. You need to chill out, stay home, cry about it, call your mom if y'all are tight, you know, like that sort of thing. Anyways, that's all I really have for this episode. I'm going to go back over to future Chloe, or past Chloe, technically. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Please, if you would like to support the show, make sure that you follow me over on Patreon. You get a bunch of extra content. We already talked about it. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm at Chloe Taylor all over the web, Blue Sky, Threads. I also have private readings if you would like to book with me on my website, chloetaylor.com. If you would like to be notified of restocks when they happen, make sure that you join my email list on my website, chloetaylor.com. And I think that's everything. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love and appreciate you. And please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Bye.